As a consumer of plenty of television, I can tell you that just because a show is bad does not automatically make it boring. Take, for example, Gotham on Fox. A show so stupid and ridiculous at times, but so gung-ho to dive into its own topics that it's still fun to watch. On the other hand, there's shows that are bad and boring, and it's in this category, unfortunately, we find Marvel and Netflix's latest, Iron Fist.
My father instilled in me a love and respect for this company that has never faded. This is my home.
Rand is my company.
This city is no place for Danny Rand.
Let's start by talking about the story, or lack thereof, of Iron Fist. I will be discussing light spoilers, nothing major from the back half of the season. Iron Fist could have and should have been a love letter to martial arts in the same way that Jessica Jones was a love letter to noirs and Luke Cage was to blaxploitation films. Unfortunately, Iron Fist boils down to a corporate boardroom soap opera. Yes, this is the high-stakes world of shareholder strife and medical prices. You know, superhero stuff. Sure, the hand pops up here and there, but generally they play secondary to the antics of Harold Meacham, fighting for control of Rand Enterprises following the return of Danny Rand. The season lacks a cohesive narrative and feels like 5 different subplots all thrown together that don't mesh very well. Both Daredevil Season 1 and Jessica Jones had a solid season-long arc, and Daredevil Season 2 and Luke Cage had about 2 different plot lines that changed around the midpoint of their seasons. Nothing resembling a season-long arc is anywhere to be found in Iron Fist. It also doesn't help that the show takes 4 full episodes just to get to the point of introducing all of the plot elements before anything actually interesting happens. With the exception of Ward Meacham, the characters on the show are written without depth, and unfortunately this includes Danny Rand, who is so unfortunately dumb in this show and childish, he remains oblivious to some very obvious facts until the very last episode. The underwritten character issue is compounded by atrocious dialogue, some of the worst I've ever seen. I swear, if Danny Rand says,
"I am the Iron Fist,"
more than 3 times in The Defenders, I will quit watching it. Of all the underwritten characters, however, none disappointed me more than Colleen Wing, a character I really wanted to like, but unfortunately exists for only 3 reasons. 1, to give us some kick-ass fight scenes while Danny is busy being Mr. Corporate. 2, to serve as the show's necessary eye candy and love interest. And 3, for a mid-season plot twist. And while Jessica Henwick is fun to watch, the character remains hilariously bland. Joy and Grant Meacham are fine, they're actually probably my favorite characters in this show. Harold Meacham is a walking, talking, inconsistent plot point that changes to fit whatever the writer wants to do in that hour of television. And like I hinted at earlier, the protagonist, Danny Rand himself, is unfortunately oblivious to a lot of what goes on around. Either he's oblivious or just simply too trusting of a person. I'm not saying that being trusting is a bad characteristic, it just simply was not well executed here. The acting was generally fine, with the entire cast fitting with the soap opera feel the show, I assume, was trying to give off. Finn Jones as Danny Rand came off as very soft. He lacked conviction, he lacked agency, he lacked purpose. I have not seen Game of Thrones, so this is my first exposure to Finn Jones, and while I do believe he's a good actor, I do feel he was miscast for this role. So while everything I said so far is pretty much a negative, the show still could have been saved when it came to the production values. I place a lot of importance when it comes to a show's visuals, editing. However, Iron Fist lacks any kind of visual identity whatsoever. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage all had very unique visual languages. This show, however, has uninteresting production design, flat cinematography, and lazy editing, especially in some of the fight sequences in the show's second half. It really feels like there was no effort put into expanding the feel and the universe of this particular show. Perhaps that's best represented with the show's opening credits, which features no color palette whatsoever, generic techno music, and nothing is visually interesting about a CGI figure doing kicks and punches. The action itself was alright, I guess. I've seen worse on television, I've seen better on Netflix and in the Marvel Netflix shows. It was just fairly average and not well shot. There's only one action sequence that stood out in my mind as doing anything original with style. It happened very early in the season in an elevator where there was a red tint applied, red lighting, and use of split screen, and that was the only action sequence that had anything original to say about the medium. That's not to say I completely hated this show. I still found some things to like, notably any scenes featuring Joy and Ward, or any scenes featuring Madame Gao. Otherwise, watching this show was a joyless chore. It is, without a doubt, the worst of the Marvel Netflix shows, and I'll go as far to say it is the worst Netflix original that I have seen. I felt dicked around by this show, so as a result, I give Iron Fist Season 1 a very big D. Hopefully you'll find more enjoyment in it than I did. Thanks for watching this video. Please, let's have a conversation in the comments below. What did you think about Iron Fist, if you managed to survive it? Please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. I want to give a quick shout out to my friends at the Point to Point Hockey Podcast, covering everyone's favorite Panthers. Not them, no, there we go. Link to them in the description below, and stay tuned for more here on TV Junkie.